Hello, everybody. Get my headphones plugged in. Okay. All right, guys. Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Welcome, welcome. Give everybody a minute to join in. So today is my Friday Live, and I am going to be joined by SJ of the Wool Flower Co. I'm super excited. This is my second or third Pink Sheep and Friends of the year. I'm so happy to be bringing these back. They're really fun to not just be me talking. It's nice to get to talk to other people, do some little interviews, let you guys get to know some new designers, or get to know designers that you have already been following, maybe a little bit better, ask them some questions. So thank you guys so much for joining in. When I see SJ join, I will ask her to join the live. But really quickly, I wanted to remind you guys that I do have a giveaway going on that I'm super excited about. I have started working with a new company to make fun notebooks. So these are just lined soft cover notebooks. And I'm giving away 2 of these as part of my latest giveaway. So if you haven't checked that out, you can see the latest post on my page, but really excited about these. I've been wanting to offer notebooks for a while, but I didn't want them to be like subpar product. I didn't want them to be cheap notebooks, and these seem to be really nice. So far, I'm really, really happy with how they've turned out. So I'm excited to also be able to start offering some different designs and actually put these in my shop. But for now, you can win one of these. I'm going to have 2 that I'm giving away. So I'll have 2 winners. Okay, let me see if SJ is here. Oh, there she is. You can wave at her first. Okay, now make sure if you have any questions for SJ and I, or if you have topics you want us to cover, you can pop those in the question box. But let's see if we can bring her on. Come on, Instagram. There she is. Okay. I was crossing my fingers that Instagram would cooperate today. Okay. Well, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good. We had really bad weather last night, so I had fingers crossed that we weren't gonna like lose power or anything. But so far so good. It's just really cold outside now.
Yeah, we have a storm here too, so it's really, really windy here. We've got like 120 mile an hour winds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, stay safe. I hope y'all have somewhere that you can, go if it gets crazy.
Yeah, thankfully. Oh, my window just opened. 1 second, I'm just going to quickly close.
Okay. Yeah, if anyone else on the live lives in the South in the US, we had a lot of crazy weather, but I mean, we're right in like the tornado area. I mean, like there's always tornadoes this time of year and into March. So that was one of the reasons that my husband insisted that we get a house with a basement so that we would have somewhere to go when the tornadoes came, which we knew that they would.
It makes sense to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had issues with that here. And I live in like a high-rise block, so it's not too bad for where I am.
That's
just
good.
if there's cuts, there's going to be a bit of an issue. But
well, and I really think that it really depends on where you are. Like when we were looking at houses here, my husband, since he grew up in this exact area, he knew where like what they call the tornado alleys, where it's like the neighborhoods that just can't catch a break. Every couple of years they're going to get hit. And so we found a place that was kind of just outside of some of those areas. But it's interesting because we lived in Atlanta for 7 years, I think, and I think we might have had to go down in the basement like once or twice because of bad weather. Whereas here, it's like we've already gone out in the basement like 3 times, and we've lived here for, a couple of months.
Not too long,
yeah.
Well, that's kind of crazy.
Welcome back to Alabama.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, I am so excited to have you on this chat. Did you say that this is your first live?
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous. Not too
Oh,
bad.
don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. It's so funny. When I was first doing lives, I would get really sweaty. So I
Yeah.
couldn't wear something like this. And I'll
Oh,
probably still have to take this off because now I'm
okay.
drinking coffee and it's going to get a
As,
little warm.
yeah, I'm a bit shaky.
Um, yeah.
Too bad.
Yes. So don't worry, don't be nervous. We're just chatting, having a good time, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm actually hoping at some point, because these are more of like an interview style where I actually kind of let people get to know you a little bit more in your journey and how you got started and all of that. But I would love to do some that are even more casual, where for an hour we just talk about what's going on,
Yeah.
like, currently. So things that you're working on. And so I'm kind of hoping that once I get through, I definitely want to do a few more interview style with some people that I haven't gotten to talk to, but then I want to start bringing people back and just chatting,
Yeah.
like having a chat about different things that are happening and it'd be a little bit different. So
Hmm.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
And
It's not as
get
nerve-wracking once
people,
I guess. But
well,
yeah.
and I think it also gives people more practice,
Yeah.
so like me just saying, okay, we'll just come on, we'll talk. I talk a lot, so it's not like there's dead space or dead
Yeah.
air.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, well, we can dive right in. I have plenty of questions. We had a few questions on the post that I put out yesterday, so that was helpful. And then obviously I have kind of my regular questions,
Yeah.
but if you just want to do a quick introduction, who you are, where you're at, and what you do, that would be a great start.
Okay. So my name is Shannon Jade, or SJ. I live in North London in the UK. um, I'm a crochet pattern designer. Mainly, well, it's not really quite a category, I guess, for what I do. Sort of a bit everywhere, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I feel like your designs, I've always seen them as like whimsical. Like when I
Yeah.
look at your photos and look at your designs, funky, whimsical, like, and I
Both.
love that because,
Yeah. I get quite a few
yes.
different things. So it's just like, I mean, I like lots of different styles, so I just try to
Hmm.
incorporate sort of make them mine. So
Yes.
yeah. And inspiration comes from a lot of places. So
Well, and we're definitely going to talk about that. And since you mentioned it, we can actually go ahead and, if you want to talk a little bit about where some of your inspiration comes from, and especially if you feel like you've maybe hit a creative wall, or maybe, you're feeling a little dried up when it comes to the design side, where are some of the places that you go to kind of fill yourself back up and, get some new ideas
yeah.
and get inspired?
So for me, like I know some people tend to draw out designs and create that way. I'm sort of just, I don't know, I look a lot to the environment. So sometimes it
Hmm.
might be like a structure of a building where I can see something really solid, and I might think, oh, like a ribbon sort of look, or um,
Hmm.
like when it's summer and all the blossom is out, it's like a lot softer, and it gives me like a vibe kind of thing. That's where I tend to get inspiration from. Or I look at history because I really love history. I find quite a lot of inspiration in like Greek goddesses and the gods, like and the sort of stories that come behind them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
cool.
Thank you. Like I have lots of ideas. I find it quite hard to settle on one. I tend to create like several things at once and then miss a point to actually release it because like
Yes.
so I'm still working on that part in terms of like trying to rein in my creativity, I guess you
Yeah.
could. um I find in like the winter, I tend to get a bit more like, I don't know if depressed is probably the right word, where it's like quite dreary and dull and
Hmm.
everything. I can still crochet, but I find that my creativeness to do things is a bit dampened. I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure exactly why. So I tend to just stick to like pattern testing for other people, or
Yeah.
just sort of playing and not really trying to focus on making anything so that I don't
Hmm.
overwhelm myself. Yeah,
Yeah. I
mainly.
mean, I think that's a really nice thing that feel like that would be helpful for people because, I think a lot of us you know, we love what we do, but I think
Yeah,
all of us get to a point where like we get a little burnout. It may not be total burnout,
yeah,
but it may just be like, oh, I really don't want to do this today. You know, so
yeah,
finding something else, like you said, pattern testing for other people, or if you are a pattern tester, like maybe dabbling in design,
yeah, yeah,
um, or, you know, picking out a personal project for yourself, like finding, you know, something other than what you do the majority of the time with your craft to
yeah.
give yourself a break.
Exactly. Like I found it through sort of a therapy way, like because I had an operation, and then it sort of led me to crochet. So I think because it's therapy for me as well, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to turn it into
Hmm.
something that just makes it feel like it has to be work all the time. So
Yeah.
I want to, you know, I want to keep it sort of sacred, I guess you could say. So it is
Yeah.
quite important for me to make sure that I have like the stressy kind of part
Yeah.
compared to like my sacred place. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Mm.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing, because I know you're in school still, correct? I couldn't
Yeah.
remember how long you had left, but I would love for you to talk a little bit about that because you're studying textiles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Textile design.
Yeah, I'm doing a textiles degree. I'm in my final year. So I'm specializing in crochet actually.
That's
There
so
are
cool.
there are quite a few exciting opportunities coming up that I will share with everybody once they've
Hmm.
passed because some things have to be secret. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, that's quite cool. I kind of hope to be like a pattern sampler, or like a
Hmm.
freelance designer. So for bigger brands in the future.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, as well as kind of having this therapy and sort of small business sort of vibe for this, you know, not average, but me, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's been quite a fun experience because through that, I've actually had to learn how to design through um, drawing and taking inspiration from mood boards and everything and creating my own
Hmm.
mood boards, working to briefs and things. So it's been quite an experience. And then it's also been fun because there's been quite a lot of like art history and
Hmm.
designers, which I didn't necessarily know going into doing textiles that I would be learning that part, but it's been really
Hmm.
interesting. So yeah.
Is there any desire for you to do any kind of teaching
I
with
mean,
this?
maybe. I actually used to work with kids before I became disabled, so I've always liked helping people and teaching people. But I'd like to teach classes to help crochet and maybe like art therapy in the future.
Hmm.
I might like to do that
Yeah.
because it helped me, like I said, with being disabled, and even pre-disability. Art was and therapy, like it's just a great thing to do.
Yeah. So if you want to share a little bit about that, how has becoming disabled, what has that done with your crochet journey? How have you dealt with that? And what are some of the things you do right now? And I mean, just sharing for other people, you know, I'm sure, you know,
So
if you want, whatever you want to
yeah,
share.
no, totally fine. I'm just trying to think where to start. So, I became disabled, I guess you could say. It's quite hard to know how to phrase words, if that makes sense.
Yes, and please know I don't want to be,
No,
I
no,
don't want to,
it's
yeah.
totally fine. So, actually, let me say what I have first. So, I have hypermobility spectrum disorder, and I have fibromyalgia, and I have scoliosis in my hips. I've had them since birth, but I
Hmm.
wasn't aware because they didn't affect me until 2017. Um,
Okay.
I used to have dislocations, but you know, I thought it was just a part of where I was falling over and just, you know,
Yeah.
injuries. But then, yeah, at 21, when I was in one of the nursery jobs that I was at, I was with babies, and I was bending and picking them up, and my knees just sort of gave way, I guess you could say. And then from
Oh
that,
no.
I really went back, and then it was like, okay, 3 months have passed, they're still not better, I'm still on crutches. So it's like physio, rheumatologists, and my sort of disability journey kind of
Yeah.
began then. um so I had to quit work, and it was really quite a depressing time. I started like CBT therapy, and my therapist mentioned like, what do you like to do? So obviously I was like, crochet, I do that in my spare time. And she was like, why don't you maybe try and do something with that? So I was
Hmm.
like, you know, I'll try. um,
Yeah.
and then I actually found like a really big community on Instagram.
Hmm.
144 Stitches, Michelle, that's the first person that I tested for. Yeah, tested for. Um, And then I realized that you could make clothes, and I realized how clothes
Yeah.
helped me feel. And because it was a point where I was quite lost in my identity, because everything that I had done for my career in the future, I had to stop,
Hmm.
like working with kids. So then it was like, what do I do? And then through
Yeah.
making and designing clothes, I sort of found myself, I guess you could say. And then I found more people. I found other disabled people. I found non-disabled people, and they all, you know, I like your designs. They make me feel this way. They make me feel that way.
Hmm.
So it just kind of helped me to carry on, I guess.
Yeah.
Partly for me because I'm still discovering things about myself in terms of disability and in life in general, as you do. um,
Yeah.
so there's that, and then yeah, so it's just yeah.
When did you, throughout this journey, were you in school? Did you start school after you had to leave
Yeah,
your job?
after in 2018 I started.
Okay.
So yeah, after it led me down a completely different path.
Yeah.
Childcare, yeah, design, textiles and everything, so two completely different paths. But yeah, I
Yeah.
could say disability sort of led me down a creative path and sort of self-discovery, surprisingly. It's quite
Yes.
say in a way, but it makes sense to me now.
Well,
Yeah,
and I think, one of the big things that I've always focused on in my life to remember, as you're like moving through your life, we're all going to be dealt very difficult hands. Now, it'll
right.
depend on what it is. We're all going to be going through something very, very different.
Yeah,
But a lot of us are going to have those moments that are, um, in the moment, they'll sometimes feel like it's wrecking your life. I
yeah.
mean, because it changes everything. You can't do what you thought you were going to be doing.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really powerful, I think, when the people who really did pick themselves back up say, this
Mhm.
is not going to affect the happiness that I
Yeah.
have about life, and finding a different path. And I
Mhm.
think it's really great hearing your story, how you took this, moment in your life of like, what am I going to do? I can't do what I was doing. And you turn it into something that now it's affecting so many people in such a positive, powerful way.
Yeah.
Like if you look at, the effect that you have, and I know you've seen it just like I do. You mentioned getting messages from
Yeah.
people. I mean, I know for me, when I get those messages that are like, you know, sometimes as simple as I used to crochet, but I stopped because I kind of lost my excitement about it, but you brought
Helped.
the excitement
Yeah.
back. Yes,
I've had that.
exactly.
And like from a disability side, I've also had people say like, I was so embarrassed to use my walking aid, my mobility aid, but
Mm-hmm.
seeing you and you using it, and sort of the, you know, it doesn't bring you down, so I can do that too. And that's quite
Yes.
a cool thing as well, because it's like, oh, like I don't set out to do that, but it's like it's nice when it happens, you know, like
Yes.
to help. And I don't know, there's yeah, I think it's just helping people. I think it is literally that just it makes me
It
really
is.
to help.
And like you said, not even meaning to, you're just getting to be who you are. And just by being who you are, it's inspiring people,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
amazing.
It is, but it's also kind of like me. I
Yes.
am.
Yes. Well, and
Yeah.
I would love to know if I know for me, if I hit a moment, and I saw one of your posts back in January,
Hmm.
that was saying how you were kind of feeling a little down,
Yeah.
feeling a little like, am I moving in the right direction with my life, with what I'm
Mhm.
doing as a designer? Um, and I would love to know if you feel like sometimes those messages are like they come. I know for me, it's almost like they come at the right time, where I'll get a message from someone that's like, what you're doing is making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt that way, but it's almost like that reboot of like, oh, this is why I'm doing this. Of course this is right,
Yeah. It kind of kicks you back into remembering like that there are other people like that are, I don't know, yeah, not even like that they look for you necessarily, or that you look to inspire people like you're saying, but I think it's just sort of like a connection that happens. And it's like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I need to be here for other people as well, because it's like it helps.
yeah,
There's just other ways. I
yeah.
think I have a problem with overwhelming myself without meaning to.
Hmm.
um
Yep.
so and I think that's one of the things that I've realized that I need to still kind of learn how to manage.
Hmm.
But yeah, through that I hope that
Well, and I think that's a life thing. You know,
Yeah.
I think all of us have the struggles, whether, whether we struggle with organization or planning or, any of that, it takes some time to figure out the process that works right for us. Cause I know like everybody's brains work so differently when it comes to planning and organizing.
Yeah.
That like a process that works for me wouldn't work for you and vice versa, so it's kind of trial and error, which means you're going to fail at some
Yeah.
point,
And you need to be okay with the failure, which is something that's quite hard to kind of come to terms with. I think, well, I know that I do. I tend to hope and think that I'm going to be better at something than I am. And then I get really disappointed when I'm not. So it's like you have to kind of
Yeah.
no expectations, I guess, to be able to, okay, this doesn't work and retry, or like just keep trying to push at that thing to see if it
Yeah.
actually does work, or if it doesn't, then be okay with it and either move on to something else or try another method. Like
Definitely. So I would love to know, as you're talking about this, and I know you said you have some things that may be coming up in the future that you can't really talk about yet. But I would love to know if you have, I know there, especially as designers, you may have like these big goals, like these big dreams of like one day I want to do this. Like, do you have any things like I know for me, I would one day maybe like to have a book with my patterns. Like I would love to have my own authored crochet book, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of different things. I would love to know if you have any of those things, like maybe do this one day.
I mean, I have tons. I'm always
There you go. It's awesome.
I'm always thinking and like, oh that, but you have to kind of always try and remember what is what you can, well, not even what you can do, because you should always kind of push as far as you can push, if you know what I mean. But just trying to make sure that I take it step by step is what I mean, and not just try and throw myself in at the deep end. I know that I've got to take it slow. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to have like a shop maybe in the future, and have like a little place where I can have like classes and workshops, maybe a section for like sold handmade pieces, or like made and my sister is actually like a baker, so it'd be cool for her to have like a little section with like
Oh yes, it's
everything.
like crochet
Yeah,
coffee and cake, right?
yeah. Like you a community within somewhere,
Yes.
and just somewhere like nice and cozy, and also it kind of covers all bases, because and it's always fun to be around other people when you crochet, even though it's kind of like a solo craft. It's nice to just have conversation and be in a place where you actually have other people like you. So
that's super exciting. Yeah, don't give up on that dream. That's awesome.
hopefully in the future.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to share about that?
I mean, just like freelance design, I hope to do. So, for like bigger brands and stuff. But
yes,
I always have this dream to kind of be me and not for anyone else, if you know what I mean. So it'd be me working with you, not me under you, kind of.
Yes.
But I don't know how.
Collaboration.
Yeah, I'm gonna try for it.
Yes.
Yeah, and art therapy, as I mentioned, like I hope to kind of do that one day. But I would need to get like a master's degree, and then I would need to do the psychology part of that, and then you would have to be certified with the counseling. I can't remember the name of it, corporation, but that thing.
Yeah.
So it takes a bit of time, but yeah.
Would you want to take a break before you like went right back into school?
Yeah, kind of, because it's like
it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Chunk of time, and like obviously throughout secondary school, I was in school for time years back, and then it's like a whole big chunk again. So it'd be nice to take a break and just see how life goes first for a little bit.
Yeah. I think just having the time and space to just be open to opportunity, like you said, having opportunities come your way and having the ability to be open to them and actually like go after those opportunities. I feel like sometimes it's hard to be in a place in your life where you can. So that's exciting. Yeah. I'm excited to hear what's happening. Yay.
Thank you. For when it happens, it's just waiting for it is like, I just want it to happen. Like I'm saying, I need to make sure I do it in steps and not
the right way. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly. And you don't want to overwhelm yourself. That's what you said, making sure whatever you can do to kind of plan ahead so
Yeah.
that you don't, do more of like the preparation side
Yeah.
versus, trying to jump in head first.
Yeah.
So I've had a few people ask, let me see, I wanted to make sure there were a few questions that were asked in the chat. Where did it go? Oh, this one. I've heard this one a couple of times. What do you watch or listen to while you're crocheting?
I tend to just like watch shows on TV, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, I've kind of been rewatching the Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, because it's something that I've seen before, and I know that I can crochet and watch. Yeah, I save most of my best shows for when I'm not crocheting, so that I can kind of give my full attention. Yep. I like YouTube, so I'll tend to listen to like crime podcasts. I like Bailey Saria, so things like that where I don't actually need to watch. Yeah, so yeah, things like that.
Any do you listen to music ever while you crochet? If you do you have a favorite music genre or anything?
I tend to listen to all sorts of music, so it's not really a particular kind of my favorite genre is probably like UK garage, because it's like what I grew up listening to, so it's like, yeah, it's got like a big place in my heart. But yeah, I tend to only really listen to music if I'm crocheting when I'm out of the house. If I'm in the house, it tends to be the TV. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch Netflix, or do you have any like streaming services that you like?
I have kind of all of them. I have Netflix, Prime, Disney, and now TV. So I have kind of all of them. Yeah, I don't know. Just depends.
Yeah,
just depends.
I think we have Netflix and Prime. And so far that's all, because I was like, I don't want to, I'll end up, like you said, I'll end up having all of them if I'm not careful.
And
I
share
was
a few brother though, so I don't pay for all of them, thankfully.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I was so sad when they took The Office off of Netflix, because that was one that and it was the English Office, not the UK. But the UK Office is on Prime now, I think. But that's what I would binge that while I crocheted, because I'd watched it so many times that it didn't matter and it would still make me laugh. So, then it like puts you in a good mood while you're while you're working.
I've actually never seen The Office.
Really? I mean, and I got through like the first one or two, because I watched all of the American version. And then when they put the UK version on there, I was like, well, I have to watch this because that was the original, know. And it is very, very similar. So in a way, it was kind of hard to watch because it was like the same storylines, just different people. But I did get through like the first 2 or 3 seasons. And my husband was like, why are you even watching this? You've already watched the other one. I was like, well, because I feel like I owe it to, watch the original.
It chance.
But my grandfather, it's interesting because I know British humor is known for being very different from American humor.
Yeah.
And my grandfather on my mother's side loved British humor. Like all of the shows he watched were British shows. All of his favorite movies were British comedies. That was just like his thing. And he, at the point where he could, him and it was my grandmother before she passed away, they would travel. They loved traveling to Europe. That was their favorite thing. So they would go to London. I got to go to London once when I think I was like 8. I think when I went. I'll have to send you some pictures, because I do have some pictures from when it was me. And it was actually the one trip that I have a lot of different photos of me and my mom, because it was before my mom passed away. So it was me and her and my grandfather, and my mom's like best friend at the time got to go with her husband. So an eclectic group. But he also loved Ireland. That was one of his absolute favorite places. I have no idea how many times he'd visited, but he could tell you all the spots that you needed to go to,
My mother's my grandparents on my mother's side are Irish, so I've
really.
Yeah.
I've
never been yet, but I plan to go at some point. But
it is beautiful. That was the only other European trip that I got to go on, and that was also with my grandfather. So he was definitely the one like setting the trips up, and yeah. but really cool. And my husband and I want to travel, but it's just, we literally got our passports. We got them the year before COVID hit, but that was
Oh,
when I had my surgery. And so it
oh,
was like, got the passports ready to go, ready to use them. Surgery hits, then COVID happens. And now it's like, I don't know, one of these days we'll get to use them.
I haven't been to America either yet, but I plan to do that at some point. But I don't even know where to begin because there are so many nice, beautiful places. But it's just like, oh, I don't even know where to start.
Well, and it's such a big country. I think
Exactly.
that's what's so different. If you go to some of the European countries that are
Yeah.
smaller, you really can see a whole lot in that space of time.
Hmm.
Whereas that's just like visiting a couple of states,
Hmm.
in the US. So you really do have to choose.
Well, I probably have to do like a little bit for like a month at
Yep.
a time or something
Right.
to be able to see.
Exactly. So you'll have to come more than once. That's what that
Yeah,
means.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I get to some more of these questions, but I know one of them that I have for you, because this is a big question that I have from a lot of people who test for me,
Yeah.
that I think you might have some insight for. Where are your favorite places, being in the UK, to
Hmm.
get yarn? Because I know this is a big thing. It's like, I feel like a lot of people in America have all these choices and the shipping isn't as crazy. What
Yeah.
are some of your favorite places to get yarn, and specifically super chunky yarn?
Super chunky yarn. I know like Lovecrafts, they carry like
Hmm.
loads of different brands. Well, you have them in the US as well, don't you?
Hmm.
Lovecrafts, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
So we have like Lovecrafts. There's Hobbycraft as well that does
Okay.
a kind of a decent amount of yarn. There's not
Hmm.
too much there. Well, not in the one near to where I am. I know there's Wool Warehouse, which is another online website that you can get yarns
Hmm.
from. Um, I know
I
like
hadn't
some,
heard of Wool Warehouse.
yeah, Wool Warehouse. I'm trying to think. I know like some local shops do them. Like John Lewis carries yarn, but not. I don't think there's too much. And then there are like little local yarn stores, but they're far
Hmm.
few between.
Yeah.
Main three that I can think of. If I think of any more, I'll be sure to DM you and I'll let you know.
Yeah. What's your favorite place right now online to order yarn from?
Hmm. I
Kind of
like.
your go-to.
I've been ordering from Hobby quite a bit
Okay.
at the moment. I've kind of fallen off
Yeah.
some of their yarn.
And
So
how is that shipping wise? Is it pretty affordable shipping from them, the shipping costs?
yeah, it's not too bad. Just before I went into hospital before Christmas, I think I ordered. Well, it was quite a lot of yarn. It was a massive bag. I think it only cost like about between like maybe like £6. I think it was,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
a normal price that you would pay kind of for like next day. It didn't come next day, but for like next day
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it was,
That's good.
yeah, it was a decent price, and plus it was like a Black Friday sale, so there was a,
Yeah.
a lot of yarn.
Plenty of yarn.
Yeah, so I won't be buying any from it. But
And then
yeah,
do you have a favorite place that's local that you like to go to? Do you have a favorite shop that you can go to get yarn?
there aren't really too many that close to where I live, because I'm not
Hmm.
in like London. I'm sort of on the outskirts, so
Hmm.
there aren't really too many shops here. Near to where my uni is, there are like a few more, but yeah, I think they're just called like haberdashery. There's literally just one called that because they have like different arts and crafts, but they have
Okay.
a
Yeah,
really yarn selection. They have
that's
nice.
cool. So, do you dabble in other creative crafts? So, outside of crochet, do you draw or paint, or are there other creative things that you like to do?
Yeah, I like to embroider by hand.
Oh, that's great.
But it depends on like how cooperative my hands want to be
Yeah.
and how long I can do it for. I like to, well, I recently bought an iPad. I think you were talking to Jodie about iPads before with Procreate.
Yeah.
I got one, I think last year, and I've
Hmm.
been learning to do like digital drawing. So I like drawing like repetitive things, I guess you could say. I quite like detail in drawing, so it'll be like mandalas, tiles,
Oh, yeah.
and then I also like doing portraits. That's quite fun to do.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
uh, I like surface print, so like screen printing or silk screen
Oh,
printing.
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done. I have like a small little one that I have over there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I have like a weaving loom, so the tapestry weaving one.
Mm-hmm.
I like weaving kind of anything that kind of keeps my mind and my hands a bit busy. I'll give a try.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you have plenty of other, like, I know we were talking a little bit before about being able to kind of take breaks. Like, if you're
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
a little overwhelmed with the crochet or the designing side, like, you have a lot of
yeah.
options that you could be like, well, I'm just going to go over here and weave a tapestry.
Yeah, I do, but the thing is, crochet has my heart. So it's like, no
I
matter how,
know.
like, I tend to stick to this for like a little while. I'll get a bit obsessed with that, and then it's like, but my yarn,
Yeah.
I need my, and then it's
It's
straight
like,
back to this.
feel like you're cheating on your crochet.
Yeah, kind of. It's like, but my heart. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this was a good one that I wanted to ask you. So, and actually, how long have you been designing for at this point? So actually like putting out crochet patterns.
Since 2020, I think.
Okay. So
Yeah.
still pretty early. I mean, it hasn't been super long. And
Not good,
when did
sorry.
you start crocheting? So how
Uh,
long had it been from when you started
I
to
started
releasing patterns?
I started in 2015, I think,
Okay.
in the April in 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I sort of like for the period for like 2 years roughly between like 2015 and 2017, I was sort of just making like bows and
hmm
scarves
hmm
and gloves because it was like I just wanted accessories.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I made Instagram, because I didn't really use social media before that, and then yeah, when I made Instagram and I saw the community of like crochet, it was like you can make clothes, clothes with yarn. And then thus the journey begun. Then,
Yeah.
yeah, I started doing pattern testing first, so I sort of learned how to construct garments
hmm
through other people, um, and then I started designing my own, but I was sort of too scared to release them because it was like, oh,
hmm
what if no one likes it?
Yeah.
But then I had like encouragement from a lot of people, so it was like,
hmm
okay, do it. And I think I put my first pattern out for testing, and then yeah, it was okay. But the thing that I found with it, and for maybe any people that want to go into designing, is like you can't really expect it to be like you know, sell like I'm trying to think of the words. My words have disappeared.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
You know, like constant sales on your first release.
Yes.
I'm trying to say,
Yep.
because I guess people are still trying to discover you and things. And I
hmm
think that nearly put me off for a little while because I was like, oh, no one does like me.
Yeah.
I sort of hoped and dreamed that it would be like this big release and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to take it slow. And then I sort of realized I crochet anyway, and I would still
hmm
do it regardless of if anyone kind of bought it. So it's just,
Yep.
I release it. If people buy it, they buy it. If they don't, it's for me anyway. I like
Yes.
it, and that's what
Yep.
matters. Yeah, like
Well, and it's
that.
like setting yourself up for future success. So
Yeah.
even if the more patterns you have, and I have seen that, when you're a new designer, you've only got a pattern or two out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
People who find you outside of your social media journey, who don't
Yeah.
like, they're not following your story, they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
They may not buy a pattern from someone who only has two patterns out or
Yeah.
one pattern out in their shop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have to remember, like it just takes time to become established. That's with any
Yeah.
job that
Exactly.
you work at. You have to create that trust that like you do know what you're talking about. You
Mhm.
do have, the knowledge and
Yeah.
the experience. Um, and so, like you said, if you remember that you're doing it because it's
What you love.
fulfilling for you,
Yeah.
yeah, then, keep putting them out there because at some point you're going to turn around and be like, how did I get 20 patterns in my shop? And now these people come to my shop and they're like, oh, this person has all these patterns. They know what they're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just sort of just like I kind of followed my heart, I guess, in that respect, because it was like
hmm
I love to do it, so do it, kind of thing. And
Exactly.
yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, it's hard to say don't let other people tell you what to do, because I think as humans we sort of we do that ourselves. We kind of judge ourselves against others and
hmm
vice versa, and whatever. So it's hard to say don't do it, but I think it's being conscious that you're doing it and kind of saying,
Yes.
maybe don't do that,
Yeah.
and try to redirect it to positive rather than the negative, because it's like
Yes.
you know, you'll get there when you get there. Like you were saying, you're only kind of given things that you can handle. So it's like, you know, take your
True.
time, let it take you rather than trying to take
Yes.
it from everyone.
Yeah. It's like just remembering to breathe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Stop holding
Yeah,
your breath.
yeah. Just live.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Well, so that led up to the question that I had in mind because I wanted to make sure I led up to it the correct way.
Mhm.
But what do you feel like there's one pattern for you that feels like it was like a turning point for you as a designer, where like you really felt like, I mean, even if it was your first pattern, but I
Yeah.
know some of us may have that one pattern that kind of sets us off in that direction of like, I really do know what my brand is about, you know?
I think it was a few of the ones that I didn't. I think it's like a kind of a few, I guess I would say, because I sort of did
Hmm.
at the same time. So it was like the Demeter bralette and skirt. So it's like the reverse
Hmm.
skirt and the bralette, and the Malaya one, the bralette. And
Hmm.
skirt. I think when I put them on, it was just like, oh, kind of thing. It
Yeah.
felt so like good against like my skin and just sort of made me
Hmm.
feel like, well, just happy and like comfortable with it. Um,
Yeah.
like taking the pictures and stuff was like, oh my god, I love this.
Yeah.
And I think because the inspiration it kind of came from like the when I was doing a lot of like Greek goddess research,
Hmm.
and Malay, which is like the honey and ash nymphs were the Malay. I think that's how you say it. So it's to do with honey.
Hmm.
So I sort of went with like an earthy toned palette for
Hmm.
that, sort of reflected it. Um, that yeah, that was, and yeah, the Demeter one. So it's like the blue and gold, which was just like royal kind of colors to me, and
Hmm.
um,
Yes.
the testers that I had for that were like, I don't know, the pictures and just like the chat that we had within that group was just like, yeah. So it's like partly that as well as just the design is seeing how they sort of feel and react to it is like, oh my
Hmm.
god, you have it too, like, and
Yeah.
seeing, yeah, it was just them two, I'd say, are like my turning point.
Well, and I think that the testing group is always, I think I feel that way too because both of us, it sounds like we design things that we want, that we
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I try not to design because I do get a lot of requests of like, could you design something like this or could you design this with a lighter weight yarn? Because that's usually what I hear since I'm always using
Yeah,
the really chunky yarn.
yeah,
Um, but I don't want to, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and in some cases, like for instance, this one that I have on,
Really,
it's like a jumbo yarn. I mean, it's huge yarn. And I did get someone who requested the same style, but in like one step down, which I was like, that makes sense because
yeah,
instead of this like size 7 Chanel, I'm going to use a size 6 Chanel, which is a
yeah.
little easier to find.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm working on that now. So I do like to take that inspiration, but I try to still focus on the things that I really like. But all of
Yeah,
that to say, when I put a pattern out for testing, I'm like, please, people want to even test this because
I
like
know.
I love it so much, but you never know how people are going to respond.
Yeah, I feel like that too because it's like I just want some people to please test it, but
Yeah.
I like, yeah, it is one of those things. But like I tend to do the same thing. I sometimes I'll ask for like opinions on what to make in terms of like, do you guys want dresses? Do you want jackets?
Hmm.
Like that kind of tend to ask
Yes.
rather like, because I find, well, because I just want to make all the things, I'm sort of like, what do people want to wear as well? Because then I
Help
can
me
sort of,
focus.
yeah, that part is
Hmm.
that I need to, or else I'm gonna make everything.
Hmm.
So in that respect, I do that. But yeah, because my obviously with hypermobility, I have like hyper extendable thumbs, so they sort of
Hmm.
dissipate a little bit. So I tend to stick to like worsted weight and like
Hmm.
Aran yarn because and
Yep.
bigger because for me it doesn't make my hands lock and hurt. And sometimes I'll get requests for like DK yarn, and it's sort of like, can't really do that. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, be like, for me, and then you can do it.
Yeah, that's and I think too, I know for me, I'm trying to work on um, one of my big goals a couple years ago was to have my own YouTube playlist. It was like the Learn to Crochet kind of
Oh,
thing.
Yeah.
because I'd always, since all of my patterns are so beginner friendly, it felt like it
Mhm.
just made sense for me to have all of
Yeah.
the like basic stuff on
Mhm.
YouTube. And I got that finished last year, which was super exciting. That was like big goal accomplished. You know, you feel like you can check off a box. But um, now I really want a playlist about gauge math because that was such a game changer for me because I feel like I can easily start to empower people to be like, oh, if you really like my design, but you want to make it in a lighter weight yarn,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
do the math. Like there
Mhm.
is a way for you to take, you know, like, okay, let me take this gauge swatch,
Yeah.
compare it to this gauge swatch,
Yeah.
and figure out how wide it needs to be. Then I'll know how many stitches to use. And it's like, it opens up this whole world of like, I can just completely change this pattern and make it my own, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's an important thing. Like with, well, for me with crochet, even though if I make this jacket 6 times, each one will be slightly different kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I really love about crochet because it's not, you know, it's not exactly the same despite using the same pattern or the same yarn sometimes even.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you had a pattern, like you're saying, like with different yarns, it makes it even more customizable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, if you had like a DK version of what you're wearing, it would look totally different kind of.
Hmm.
It would look like 2 completely different patterns, but that sounds like a really amazing idea. I can't wait to
So
see
we'll see.
it.
We'll see. Yeah, this one, I'm working. This is the yarn that I'm using for the lighter weight one.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's also a Chanel. I'll show you. I've got one caked up so you can actually see, but this is the cake
It's beautiful.
of the size 6 Chanel. So it's the same kind of yarn. You know, it's that
Yeah,
fluffy with
right.
that inner string.
Yeah.
Um, and then I did buy, I don't know if you've seen this or not. I've only shared it, I haven't shared it on my feed yet.
Okay.
But I wanted to make another version of this exact jacket because I've started telling myself, and I want to know too from you, when you design a garment, so when you actually are releasing a pattern, how many of that garment do you make?
It depends. Sometimes it will be two. Sometimes it will
Okay.
be three. It
Yes, but
depends.
it's usually more than one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
So,
this one, I have a short sleeve version, and then I made like a long sleeve one because I made the
mhm,
body again. Like, oh, I might as well add sleeves anyway, kind of
yeah.
thing. Like
And you
so,
added that into the pattern as like an
yeah, yeah,
option.
yes, you can have
Yeah.
either non-sleeves or sleeves kind of thing. So
Yeah. So I've decided that it's so smart because you can also, if you make it with a different yarn, then you're just opening up the door for your, you know, the people who buy your pattern to be like, oh, well, I can see it in two different yarns.
yeah, exactly.
So that's a goal for 2022 is I'm going to start making at least two of my designs and I'm trying to use different yarn.
Hmm.
So this is actually just like a Walmart brand yarn. So I
Oh,
was at Walmart and I knew that I wanted to make a wearable out of the jumbo yarn.
mhm.
Um, but I also know that this type of yarn, it's if it's by a different brand, it's pretty much the same thing.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
so if you do find like this kind that calls for like a 25 millimeter hook,
yeah.
so I purchased Michaels came out with a chubby Chanel, which was like the
Hmm.
same thing, but it had all these different colors. So I'm gonna make one, and everybody's like, it's like an Easter cardigan because this is one of the colors.
Oh,
It's like a lime green kind of color, but like it's the pastel type.
yeah.
And I have 10 of these that are in a different color. It's like pink and light blue and a darker blue and a pink, uh, lavender. But
Oh,
it's 10 different balls of yarn in 10 different colors that I'm going to use to make another one.
wow. I can't see that. It's gonna look so cozy though as
So
well.
we'll see what happens. I know. But that I wanted to ask you, um, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Hmm.
That happens
Shoot.
to me all the time.
I know. Oh, I wanted to ask you how many projects you'll usually have going on at one time.
um, at the moment, I have like one, two, three, four, five at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Well,
That's
five,
not too bad.
five that are local, and then I also have like the uni bits that I do. But because it's like with the uni work, we do like swatches, and then you kind of use Photoshop to make like repeat patterns and do it like that.
Oh, cool.
Um, I'll have to upload it on my grid at some point to show.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I have that, but that's separate because it just tends to be like little samples, swatches kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, And then yeah, like I have the projects that I do around.
And are they usually like all different? So
Yeah,
are they like different types of clothing or items?
yeah, I've got like a dress that I'm doing at the moment. I've got like
Ooh.
a top and skirt set that I'm doing at the moment. A shawl and a cardigan that I did start when I was in hospital, but I haven't finished yet. So,
Hmm.
because it's really long, I haven't made like a really long cardigan, and I really wanted something super cozy.
Hmm.
I have to finish that. So yeah, sort of just everything. And then I have ideas for what I want to do next, but I know that I need to
Hmm.
finish something or else I'm not going to end up finishing it. So yeah. Yeah.
What does your process look like? Um, so I know for me, when I'm designing, I try really hard to not have, I try not to have two tests going on at the same time,
Hmm.
but I try to have it on like a repeat where once one test is over, I'm ready to announce for my next like test group, to
Yeah.
try to like keep myself having, something in the works. What does
Yeah.
what does that look like for you? Like the process for design, from design to pattern?
Yeah. See, well, because of like just before I sort of had like I was saying with the down period, I guess you would say,
Hmm.
just recently. So I'm sort of starting to get back into my gears again. So I
Hmm.
have a top that I made last month that I need to write up the pattern for, and then that will be put into testing, and then I will do it like that. That's usually the way I work. Like I'll do
Hmm.
one and then another,
Hmm.
or if it's just like earrings, then it will just
Hmm.
be like that can go on whilst a skirt is
Yeah.
going on. Something, it depends.
Yeah.
If it's something small, I can have more than one, but yeah, it will tend to be just one so that I can give it my main focus.
Hmm.
So that I'm not like all over the place or asking like or answering the wrong questions with the wrong thing, because I'm like, which pattern is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did do that at one point, and I learned from that mistake not to run like two pattern tests at the same time, because it was like, yeah, this is very overwhelming.
Well, and you're still designing. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what's,
I'm constantly designing as well, which I don't know how I do it myself sometimes, because it's just like, how are you still going? How do you still have ideas to just keep going? I think if my brain let me, I would probably, and hands, because obviously speed matters, but
yeah.
I think I would have probably 3 to 4 each month, but thankfully my brain and hands don't work that fast, so I tend to have like one or two, depends. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, oh, my brain, like, I don't know if I just got coffee overload, but it's like making me forget what I was going to ask. It's supposed to help, right?
Well.
Um, oh, do you, when you're working on your projects, because you said you have things that are, you even have something that's pretty much finished and you just have to write it up.
Mhm.
So when you're designing, do you have like a notebook where you keep notes? Do you use like an app? Do you take no notes and then write it all up at the end? Like, what's your, yeah.
It really depends. It's quite hard for me. This is why I struggle quite a bit, because it depends on the day sometimes.
Yeah.
So if I sit down to design something, then I'll usually have my notebook and be able to do
Hmm.
it. But if I just pick up yarn and I'm like,
Hmm.
then I tend to not write it down, and then I end up either having to put it down because I tend to hyper focus. So I'll just go
Hmm.
and go and go until I can't anymore. And then I'll look back at my notes and sort of be like, I didn't write any, so I have to try and decipher it all. Yeah. I'm starting to write it down directly into my Canva app, which is how I design my
Hmm.
patterns now. I'm going to start doing it that way so that I don't have to. And then when I make up the second one, I can just go through and re-edit the bits as I go along, kind of thing. So trying to work smarter, not harder. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I know something else I want to ask you too is I feel like you take really, really cute pictures. Like
Oh,
I feel like you always have great backgrounds. Like, and I would love, because I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with
mhm.
is having, getting their pictures taken. So what's your process for that? Who helps you with your pictures, or do you have like a Bluetooth? Like, what do you do for your photos?
My mum. My mum tends to help me. So, and we live in like quite a green area, I guess you could
Hmm.
say. So I'll tend to just find like a nice little bit around here. But surprisingly enough, if you were to turn the camera the opposite way around, you would see like the urbanness of my area.
Yeah.
like really built up, like flats and and all of that stuff. So it's like you would really see the difference between the two. But yeah, there's like a lot of like big parks and forests near to where I am.
That's
so
nice.
and yeah, we tend to just take a walk down there. Probably like 100 photos usually tend to be taken, because it's like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I know, and I'm quite like picky with it as well. So I'm
Yeah.
like, the more the better, and then I can like limit the ones. And I
Yep.
usually only end up using about 10.
Yep.
So,
That
yeah,
sounds about the same for me. So
yeah,
I think a lot of people are like that, especially when you're having to take pictures of yourself, because we all have a
Mhm.
certain way that we want to be presented,
Yeah,
in our pictures.
yeah.
Um, and do you just use your phone? Do you have any apps that you use for editing or anything?
No, yeah, just my phone really. And
Mhm.
within the iPhone, you can, edit the saturation, or what. Not that I
Oh,
really
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
I just play with those settings if I need to.
Hmm.
I actually have like a portrait mode on my,
Hmm.
which I find is really good for taking pictures, especially of yourself. I tend to use that mode, or my mum, I guess I should say. I tend to
Hmm.
put it in that mode because it kind of keeps the focus a bit better. So
Yep.
that
And is
helps me.
that iPhone? You have an iPhone?
Yeah, I don't even know what one I have. Maybe a 12.
Yeah. But I think that they have improved a lot on having that
Yeah.
portrait mode on the
Mhm.
iPhone. Because I
Yeah.
know there's a similar one on, I have an Android,
Okay.
and there's a similar kind of like background blur kind of
Mhm.
thing, but I don't like it. So I definitely think that they have a one up on like the camera options and settings and things like
Yeah.
that from the Android phones.
My mum uses Android, and her one is just like, I mean, I don't like the
Hmm.
way it's like, I don't know how to use these.
Yep. Yep.
But
And
yeah,
it's not awful. It's just, I do think that they have
yeah,
put a lot of focus. The iPhone has, they've put a lot of focus on that, on
mm,
having, a camera that's, really good. I mean, I
yeah,
know a lot of people who that's all they use. Um, and I know for me, like I have a professional camera that I'll use for most of my feed photos,
oh yeah,
but it is still, it would be nice if my camera could do what that phone could do. I mean,
yeah,
what the camera could do, because it would be a lot easier than having
yeah.
to set up the camera and,
I guess because you probably have to put like a tripod and all of
oh
that,
yeah,
don't
it's a whole
you?
production.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you tend to
And
shoot all of your things at once, not all, but like a few things at once.
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Mm.
So I try, if it's at all possible, I try
Yeah,
to photograph two items within at least two things within the same shoot. So
yeah,
I might have the same outfit on, or like alter it just a little bit to put a different,
mhm.
crocheted piece on. Um, or I'll like it'll be the same like if I was photographing this jacket, I might change my outfit once
Yeah.
so that it's like
You
the
can,
same jacket but photographed two different ways.
yeah, yeah.
So that can be good. Um, but what is that for you? Do you try to do multiple items at once?
Yeah, if if I have more than one thing like finished, then I tend to do
Hmm.
that because I like, yeah, it will, I'll do that. Or kind of the same thing like you're saying. So I might bring out like another something to put on or come back
Hmm.
in. Depends on
Yeah.
if we're near somewhere with toilets or something to
Yeah.
change.
Exactly.
Yeah, then that kind of thing I'll do. So yeah, similar.
Yeah, it's helpful. And do you keep all of your photos on your phone? Like, how do you organize that? Like, how do you keep that from getting crazy?
Yeah, I mean, they are still all in there. I tend to go through and favorite the ones that I like the most because on iPhone, you
Hmm.
part ones and it will put them into a separate folder.
Oh, cool.
And then that. Or sometimes I'll just create like a subfolder in my phone and put them all in there. I usually do that with
Hmm.
like testers photos so that I don't lose them
Yeah.
within my phone, so that I have like yeah, Demeter and then this and that, so that when I need to use
Yeah.
them or whatever, I can just pull them out. So
And
yeah.
do you, all right, I'm guessing with the iPhone, does it automatically back them up like on a cloud? Like, or does it
Yeah.
tend to clutter up the
Yeah.
space on your phone?
No, I have the cloud, and I think I have like a 2 terabyte.
Nice. Because
Like
that's what I was going to say.
yeah,
At
but
some point, you'll run out of room on your phone.
it'll be a while. It will be a while. I think I have probably like, I don't know, close to 100,000 photos. I think in
Oh
my
my
phone is a
God.
lot because
Yeah.
I've had an iPhone for about, I don't
Yeah.
know, 6 years. So it comes with all of those. Each of
Yeah.
them are stored in the cloud, but you can just see them on your phone, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, do you, because you said you use Canva now, which I
Yeah.
think Canva is like a game changer for anyone who doesn't use Adobe products. Like I didn't grow up using the Adobe um, software,
Yeah.
so I didn't learn a lot of those. But I think that Canva has really helped with that. I'm the same way. I use it for all my patterns and all of my graphics and all of that. Um, do you use the pro version of Canva? Like do you pay for Canva or you just use the free version?
Yeah, just the free version for now. I would use the pro one. I just haven't
Mhm.
gotten around to doing it yet. So I will do that at some point, but yeah,
Because
not
I was
yet.
going to tell you, if you do,
Yeah.
the reason, one of the biggest game changers, one of them was background removal, because I use
Mhm.
that all the time. So I can remove, that's how I made like our little graphics, like
Oh,
before this happened. I can just remove the background and then just have like the people or the pictures. Um, but the other thing that really helped is talking about like storage space and organizing photos is you get all of this space then on Canva to store your pictures. So now, like as I'm creating my patterns, I have folders in Canva with all of the process photos from the thing, all of the tester photos, and then like you could have, each of your patterns would have a folder with all the pictures that you'd use in your pattern or like tester photos.
ten.
Because I ran out of space very
Oh,
quickly on Canva.
yeah. Well, that's handy. I didn't even, I wasn't, I mean, I'm aware that there is a limit, but it hasn't told me yet.
hmm
So I guess I'll have to
So
keep an
you're,
eye on
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll have to
can't
keep,
remember. I can't remember what it was, but I definitely started reaching it quick because I put so many pictures in my patterns that I think that's what it was, like all of the
yeah.
process photos, and then I
Uh,
wasn't like clearing them out when I was finished.
oh, yeah.
Um, so that ended up adding up a little quicker than I thought it would.
It's always the worst when that happens, isn't it? And you're like, huh,
Yeah.
why is it not?
Okay, so we are at the end of the hour, which I figured that would go quick. I didn't think that it would be difficult for us to chat. So I would love to know, while we have like a couple minutes left, if you want to share anything that you have coming up that you're excited about, if you have a pattern that you're working on, like whatever you want to share.
I mean, it's not finished yet, but so Aisha Inspiration, she's on Instagram. She's hosting
hmm
like Angels and Demons, I think it might be called, like crochet challenge. So
Okay.
currently working on mine, but
Oh
so
my
it
gosh.
will be a dress, but it's not finished yet. So it's
Is that
lovely.
going to be a pattern?
Yeah, it will be at some
That's
point.
so pretty.
Uh, that's what's being worked on.
Yeah.
Um,
How many
and
different stitches are in that? You got to hold
uh,
that up again. Let's talk about those stitches.
so you have like a jasmine stitch
Uh-huh.
in the
Looks like flowers. Yeah.
yeah, and then bobbles and like
hmm
I can't remember what you call this. It's just like single crochets and doubles kind of thing mixed
hmm
together. And then yeah, so it
Oh, and the
will
neckline is really great.
yeah, it is really nice. I put it on the other day and it was like, oh, it fits
hmm
nice. I have like a vision for how I want the bottom part to be, but
hmm
it's just do that
Do you
part.
want it to be like, do you want it to be like a shorter or a longer kind of dress look?
I want it to go both ways. So I want it to be like short and then like get longer towards like
Ooh.
that.
Okay.
Hoping.
Yeah.
I've also sort of been learning how to do cables with Azramati, like on
hmm hmm
we we noticed it like maybe last year we cut like with the overwhelm with being pattern designers.
hmm
So we started to set like a selfish project between us two. So we find like nice stitches and then we're like, we'll make something with this.
Yeah.
We chose cables around Christmas time. So this will be like the top that I'm working on, but it's not
Oh,
finished yet.
cool. So is that the kind where like as you get done with the rows, you tuck it in to make the
Yeah,
cable?
this part is, yeah. I'm not in
Yeah.
like this part entirely, but I think I'll leave it and see how it goes.
Well, and I think you have to finish it to really know. I think
That
that's what's so interesting about that
yeah,
table design. I
yeah,
saw it, it's actually the other day. It was in my Discord channel. We have like a little game night every now and then, and somebody in the game night
yeah.
shared a picture and said that someone had asked them, and she may be on here. If Jamie is on here, I'm totally talking about you. Um, but she shared a picture of a blanket that one of her coworkers had asked her if she could like recreate.
Mhm.
And she was like, I have no idea what this stitch is. And all of us kind of looked like, is it knitting? Like, what is that? Because it was that cable design. And someone else who was on the game night said, like, yeah, it's just a technique that you use, you know, by creating like the chains or whatever and then tucking
Then
that
you go
in.
down. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool to see it like that though.
Yeah, it was really quite fun to learn as well. I really
Hmm.
like to look and learn new techniques.
Hmm.
Even if I don't
Yeah.
use them, it's just fun to, like, have a look and see if you enjoy it. I think that's one of the important things,
Yes.
to see if you enjoy something, to know whether you can carry on designing with it. And I like cables,
Hmm.
which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and I think it's great to set yourself. That was something I tried to do this year. I wanted to have at least two new techniques that I
mhm,
tried.
yeah,
Because I feel like that's also a great way to keep you inspired as a designer, because then you
yeah,
can like bring that technique into your design somehow or
yeah,
use it in a way that, you know, you feel fits, you know, what you're doing.
yeah,
What
yeah.
what is the what's your newest design that you've released?
Oh, the
Is that
newest
it?
one. Well, this isn't going to be released. This will be. This will be the one that I'm writing up,
Ooh.
but I
Oh, that's
haven't
nice.
yet.
I love the
Yeah,
sleeves.
I know, they're really big bell sleeves. Really lovely. My newest one is my Queen of Hearts cardigan that I released
Okay.
on Valentine's Day. Do you want
Ooh.
me to? Do you want to see
Yeah,
it? Should I
that would
grab
be awesome.
one?
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, what? Oh, here it is. So I haven't weaved in the ends on my own
Of course
cardigan
not.
because
I haven't
I
either. Can we talk about this for a second? Where did they go? Hold on. I had to tuck them in.
that's all
Maybe
right.
it's the other sleeve. Oh, here we go. Yeah, look at that. There they
Yeah.
are. Just tuck them in. No worries.
That's what I do. And like sometimes in pictures they poke out, and I'm just like, I
Yeah.
can't be bothered
Yeah.
anymore. So
Everybody gets it.
exactly. So it has like
Oh, wow. Oh, I love that. What stitch is that that makes the hearts?
shells. It's just
Really?
yeah,
Because it looks like hearts. That's
yeah.
awesome. And
Some
is the
ribbing.
ribbing, is that front post and back post for
Yeah,
the
front.
ribbing? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the back has.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I love it.
It's really really cozy.
Beautiful. Yeah. I need to do a Valentine's Day pattern roundup next year because I've really been
Oh
trying to focus on getting like one roundup because I love doing that. It's so much fun getting to like put other people's design, like putting
yeah,
that all together, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Fun
and
to
I'm
see them.
I
Oh.
Yeah, I think that because you have like a jacket, like a hooded jacket that's like a chunkier jacket. Is the one you
uh,
have on?
this one with like the hood.
I think
This
it's that one. I think it's
uh,
that one because
it's,
I know you're on my list for one of them because I wanted to do like a chunky
yes,
jackets because I did chunky cardigans, but I
yeah.
want to do one that's more of like a jacket feel.
I have one with sleeves of this, and it's like the burgundy,
Yeah,
the wine
I
burgundy.
bet that's what it is
I
because
think
I
it
have
could.
it favorited. I was like, this is coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be my burgundy one. It's put away at the moment, or else I'd grab it, but it's somewhere over there in my
Oh, I know.
closet.
I've got stuff like stuffed everywhere. So, it happens.
Right out
And all
space.
of the yarn that I bought for the second version of this jacket is still in a big box down here in front of my phone because I don't have anywhere to put it right now.
Yeah.
So, got to figure that out. It's funny, a lot of people talk about, and I would love to know this from you too. I know we don't have a lot of time left, so I don't want to keep you too long, but um, because you make designs for yourself,
Yeah.
um, what do you do when you start having so many finished projects that they just kind of overflow? Do you just keep them all? Do you ever give them away? Like, what is your,
Yeah. I'm getting to that point now, and I think that might have
yeah.
been partly what sort of brought me into like a oh my god kind of thing last year, because it was like you have no
Yeah.
ideas, what are you doing kind of thing. But I sort of sorted out a pile that I want to undo and then reuse the
Uh-huh.
yarn, so I have them in a
Okay.
place, and then I have like my clothes in my drawers
Hmm.
to have away. Sometimes I'll give them away, but it just depends because I've worn them, so I'm like, I don't know, if you want it you can have it, but
Like,
because
I
it's
wouldn't want
worn,
to sell them.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, I want to give it
Hmm.
away. If it was like I made a sample and I'm not gonna wear it, I would probably sell it. But
Which
if I've
I don't
worn
think
it,
ever happens for me.
no,
Like, I'm always
no,
going to wear it.
yeah, like even like with orders, I tend to say to them, like, I need to try it on, but is it okay if I try it on so that I can show
Yeah.
you what it looks like? I need to make sure it
Yeah.
fits in
Yeah.
like the right places and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
it's like, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, and that's where I'm at now. I've got really excited because my sister-in-law used to live in Florida, and when we moved to Alabama, they also moved to Alabama, so we're all like back in the same area.
Yeah.
And when she was in Florida, I couldn't give her any of my stuff because like
Mhm.
she's closer to my size, but
Mhm.
it's so hot there. All my stuff is so chunky, like it never made sense. And now I'm like, oh, I can like give you all
Yeah.
this stuff now.
Yeah.
uh, so I was able to give her one, and there's a couple other people in my family who are interested in me making them some stuff, which doesn't really help with like all the stuff that is now stockpiled and stored. But at least now I feel like I can make some people some things because I'm so picky about making people stuff because I want to make sure they actually will wear
Like,
it.
yeah, exactly. I'm the same.
So,
I,
mhm,
I tend to ask, and like around Christmas or birthdays, I'm like, what do you want that I can make? If you don't want me
yes,
to make it, then let me know. Because I
yes,
don't want to make it if you're not going to wear it or use it or whatever.
exactly, exactly. Because it takes so much time. We only have so much
Yeah, and
crochet time.
I'd rather you have something that you like, whether I've made it or bought it. I'd rather you be happy, but just let me know
Yeah,
which one.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I know we're over time, so I don't want to keep you any longer, but I'm so glad you came on, and I definitely will let you know if I start doing some casual chats where we can just talk about like what you have happening, if you've got new yarn that you've tried out, like just different things that are
Yeah.
more related to like the here and now. Um, I'll keep you posted, and they may be like shorts. I've thought about doing some like little, 30-minute segments where maybe like two different people come on,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe we have four people like just chatting about what's happening. So I'll keep you posted about that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with me and answering everybody's questions. And we had quite a few people. So I will put this up on IGTV. And then I will also put it. Are you on YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't yet. I do want to make one at some point, but I haven't gotten around to that.
Okay, no worries. I will post it on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to include all of the links. Do you have a link tree right now?
Yeah.
I think you do. So I'll put all the links from your link tree in the YouTube video. So if people find that, they know where to support you. But I guess until next time, we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, have a good rest of your day and a good weekend.
And you. See
Bye.
you.